Hi guys, thanks for watching this week. We got a special edition with the Partch Ensemble, and John Schneider, who's the director of the Partch Ensemble, invited us to a rehearsal, and we have some footage of him being interviewed, so please check that out, and we'll see you in a bit.
Sure, sure.
Is that okay?
Well, strangely enough, I'm trained as a classical guitarist and as a composer. So I really got involved with this music. I got interested in it initially as a composer. Well, also as a guitarist too, because, you know, classical guitar has a very limited kind of music available to it, or it certainly did when I was growing up. And I got really excited about contemporary music for guitar. I wanted to be able to play things like Stravinsky and all this amazing new music I was hearing as a kid, and just none of it was written for the guitar. I thought. I ended up doing research in it, and I actually published a book called The Contemporary Guitar, which explored all of 20th century guitar music, because I thought, you know, this is such a cool instrument. It's got to have better music than just Bach or Fernando Sor, stuff like that. And that's actually where I ran into Harry Partch's music, because he wrote for guitars. So in finding out about all the guitar music of the 20th century, I ran into this repertoire. When I first visited the instruments in late 1970, in the late 70s, I was just blown away. I thought, this is amazing. And got excited about playing one of his most famous pieces called Barstow. I don't know if you've ever heard it.
Sure.
Yeah, because I fell in love with that piece, absolutely. And I was always so sad that it was never, I couldn't play it on guitar. But it turned out, I went and talked to Dan Lee Mitchell, who was the guy who runs the Harry Partch Foundation. He was Harry Partch's right-hand man for decades. And he said, what are you talking about? There's a guitar version of a Barstow. And I said, you're kidding me. He says, no. Here. I just started making instruments with a friend, and didn't stop. The whole point, really, is the music. The music is so unique. So interesting, so compelling, and so unlike anything else I'd ever heard from 20th century music. I mean, it's not abstract head music. It's got tunes, you can tap your, but it's also modern. It's angular, it's got strange rhythms, it's got amazing harmonies, melodies you'll never hear anywhere else, but they're not abstract, angular, intellectual melodies. They somehow, I don't know, sort of hit you somewhere else. Do you know Harry's book called Genesis of a Music? He wrote that in 1949, and he started doing all this stuff way back in the 1920s, and he wrote all sorts of different ways of looking at it. He finally, in 1949, published this book called Genesis of the Music, which was the story of how he created all of his music and all of his instruments, the theories behind it, the historical theories, the mathematical thing about the tunings, how he built the instruments. Basically, it's a cookbook. But it's not quite enough. You can't really put things together. And I went and visited the original instruments and measured them, weighed them, photographed them, recorded them to try to copy what was going on. So the basic measurements are in that book, but you have to fudge them because every piece of wood is different, every pipe length is different, every organ is different. You have to be able to sort of move with it. So about 95% of the information is there in Genesis of the Music. I just filled in the rest of the 5%.
Did these instruments that you're talking about, where are they?
They are now, after a very long circuitous route, are now in Montclair, New Jersey, at Montclair State University, where, believe it or not, there is a Harry Partch Institute.
Oh.
Montclair State University built this brand new building, and those instruments are in there. And in fact, the tall fellow that was playing that instrument, he's the first graduate of the Harry Partch Institute.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So are they allowed to play these instruments?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah, they're used all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, they do give concerts there, and the students play on them all the time. And the group, it's headed by Dean Drummond, who's a wonderful composer himself. He's been the curator of these instruments for over 20 years. And he has a group called New Band. They've recorded with them, they've toured with them, they've done all sorts of things, and also have new music written for them too. So the originals are alive and well. But they're so important, they're so precious, they don't travel.
Right.
Which is why I did this, because this music, you gotta be in the same room. You have to hear this stuff happening. So that's why I started this band, so we can have a touring band so people can actually hear this music live.
Did you have an opportunity to meet Harry Partch?
No, sadly no. He died in '74, so I didn't catch the fever till about '79 or '80.
Okay. So after we interviewed John, he also gave us a tour of all the different Partch instruments. So this next clip is Peter and I walking around. Peter's here as well. You don't see him on the screen, but he's here.
Hello.
And hello. And I'd like if Mark, if he could cue that up, that would be awesome. So this one's called the Diamond Marimba, because it's diamond shaped and it's a marimba. It's got looks like acrylic pipes underneath.
Harmonic cannon?
Harmonic cannon.
There's 3 of them.
Okay.
This is actually a fancier one, because if you come back on the other side and look underneath, it's got 2 sides on it.
Ah.
This is actually not a copy of a Partch instrument. This is my improvement on a Partch instrument.
Ah.
It's called Janus because it's got 2 faces. These are the copies of the original. This is the piece you just heard is called Castor and Pollux.
Right.
These are Castor and Pollux, the harmonic cannons, a pair of cannons.
And this one.
This is the chromelodian, which we're going to want to.
Melodian, yeah.
The chromatic reed organ. That's 1 octave. And it's got a lower octave.
So you're pumping air via your feet.
It's a pump organ, yeah.
Nice.
Old-fashioned style.
Wow.
Bye!
Moving on, this humongoid
That's the bass marimba.
bass marimba.
11 notes.
How many notes?
11.
11.
Only 11.
And this. And
Now that's the surrogate guitar.
now I overheard you guys talk about this is a new instrument?
Yeah, this is our latest instrument. And in fact, you should probably take a look at this one.
Okay.
Did you already take a shot of this?
I'm sure
Probably
Peter
not.
did, but let me.
This is the Cathara, based very, very loosely on an ancient Greek instrument. But because this has slides on it, as I'm sure you noticed, take one, it's not.
Now the slides are acrylic rods or
Well, these are.
okay.
The original were glass.
Ah.
That they were having some issues. Then each one of these is a chord. But what ended up happening, the piece we just played, Castor and Pollux, originally there's 2 people on this instrument, so Partch actually built this. He took the sliders and he made a slider machine. So these are nothing but the sliders.
Ah.
And for years we've been playing it with 2 people on this, 1 person on each side, and we just had this instrument built for the concert you went to, right? For another piece entirely. And we thought, well, what the hell? Why don't we try it on Castor and Pollux? And we decided it doesn't work very well.
No.
Yeah, it sounds better having both players coming off of this instrument. So that's what we're going to do in the concert. Thanks again. You know, lift it over his car. Then these guys, this is also kind of a, it's called a hypo bass.
A hypo bass. Ah, there it is.
Which
hypo
is
bass.
usually, it's the highest note on Harry's original instruments. It was the highest note of his marimba eroica, the heroic marimba. So there's 4 of these. This is 55 cycles per second.
It
The
was
other
the
one,
highest note.
this is the highest
Oh.
note. The lowest one vibrates 22 cycles per second.
Can you
And
hear it?
The plank barely.
No.
Barely. Yeah, we haven't made those yet. The first one of these I made was this. And it wasn't quite loud enough. So we used this one with twice the amount of air coming out of it. And that's loud enough.
That's loud. Okay. I'd like to talk a little bit about microtones. And John talks about that a lot in his explanation and in his interview. So I have this little Casio keyboard here, and let's just say, this is A, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then A again. So this is your traditional Western notation, right? European music is completely based on this set of notes for the most part. And what John's talking about when he says microtones is this genre of music that, let's say, in between this B and this C, there's like 3 more notes. So when he was playing the organ, or I forgot what it was, the chromelodeon, rather than having an octave, let's say from C to C, you would need like 3 more of these. That would be the octave. Does that make sense? It's all math, right? He's like dividing by 3 or dividing by 4. So there's more notes, basically. And what happens when you have more notes, when you compare it to what we hear in Western music, and certainly in pop music, for instance, you get this amazing sound with more harmonics and more vibrations and more just sort of this it's really more vibrations, right?
Yeah.
That's what sound is. It was pretty awesome to when we were in the room, sort of like being flies on the wall watching this rehearsal.
It was pretty amazing. Well, I think you definitely get more dissonance with all that too. But yeah, they seem to manage pretty well.
Pete and I are kind of novices to all of this stuff, but
yeah,
I think it's changed the way we approach our instruments.
definitely.
Meeting him
And seeing them perform.
seeing them perform.
I mean, the big thing was like, I remember after the rehearsal, we walked around the instruments and we saw that was like a little 3x5 card that was taped on there. And we're like, how could you play for 10 minutes with just a couple of little notes on a 3x5 card? It's like, I don't know how that could be expanded into this whole composition and piece. It was just totally beyond me.
Well, with that sort of non-traditional music, I guess we could call it, there's also this non-traditional music notation,
Right.
and you have to study that. I'm not sure if John talks about it, but there's a college in New Jersey where you can actually major in Harry Partch music, and one of the musicians we're going to see in a moment that is a member of the Partch Ensemble is the first graduate of that program.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of fun to meet everybody at the rehearsal. Let's see. Was this the moment we were supposed to be talking? Oh, we're supposed to look at photos. Pete, you took some photos. Could we look at those? It says Peter's Pics. You have any impressions or anything you remember? It wasn't a big room. It was it's kind of a house, sort of a contemporary looking house.
On the hillside, with a really nice view of San Fernando Valley.
And we were driving around, getting to this place at night, and we're going like, where are we? And because it was all residential, and we came on this really contemporary looking house, as I said, with this huge garage-like door, and we were greeted. They welcomed us really, really. Everyone was cool. And lo and behold, in this this house basically on the level that we're at, it's just one room basically, and it's huge.
Yeah.
And then all the instruments are there, and you know, I wish Harry Partch were alive to see this, to be able to go somewhere in LA that's kind of hidden and just open up this huge garage door
all
and
his instruments.
see all his instruments there. And that was the other thing about John is he and his crew, they've built all these things, right?
Right. They were all replicas of original Partch
Right.
instruments. So for all their performances, they're lugging these things around then?
I guess so.
That's the way it has to work, I guess, huh?
Shipping must be intense. And I wonder what the insurance would be on this stuff. And how did you feel about them as objects? You know, not just musical instruments.
They're really beautifully made. Like, the woodwork is amazing, and just the forms of them. It's like, there's a lot of time and craftsmanship put into it. They're really beautiful to look at and to hear.
I especially like those glass bells.
Yeah.
Cloud bells or something like
Cloud sphere?
that. Yeah.
I forgot what they're called. But
There were a lot of string instruments.
yeah, the thing that really got me, though, were the marimbas.
Ah,
Just,
the marimbas are amazing too.
yeah.
A little bit about Harry Partch, and then we'll go start looking at some of the rehearsals that we got to have fun with watching. Harry Partch, for those who have never heard of Harry Partch, he was born in 1901, and he actually went to USC. Assuming he went to USC for music, but he dropped out. And not too much after that, the Great Depression happened, and the story is he became a hobo, and you know, I guess just traveling around with just whatever you can carry. A lot of people are out of work and without home, not unlike what's going on these days. And he took something to write on, and he had a journal. You know, he was sort of writing down these stories, and I believe he set a lot of the music he did later to these stories that he wrote when he was a hobo, when he was traveling around. And then in 1930, roughly I guess, he sort of disbands all of the Western music that he had been kind of studying and practicing for this microtonal concept. And as John says in his interview, he authors a book called Genesis of Music. And it's basically a compilation of all of these instruments that we see, the philosophy behind them, and roughly how to build them. That's why the Partch Ensemble, which, you know, is here in Los Angeles, is so important. I mean, I can't imagine there are a lot of, it's not like garage bands, right? You got to be pretty dedicated to this music and to practice it and have concerts. We're so lucky to have this. There's so much about Harry Partch on YouTube, so I hope the viewers check that out. And there's Harry Partch websites that you can definitely check out. But let's go to one of the rehearsals. The first thing we're going to see is
Sonata Dementia.
Sonata Dementia.
3.
And were they there? I don't think they were there, but when we saw them perform, there was Argenta Walther and Fahad Siadat, right?
Yeah, they weren't there, but
They weren't at the rehearsal.
mm-hmm.
We have some more.
Some more rehearsal footage.
Yeah, some more rehearsal footage. What was the name of the next piece?
Castor Baldwin.
Oh. You wanna say? Do you remember this piece?
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Was it? It was named after the instruments or something.
I believe so. Yeah.
One was called Cassidy, one was called Pollock.
Pollock,
I don't
yeah.
remember the reasons why, but
Don't know. But let's listen to it. that last segment is actually 14 minutes long, so I think we'll just put the entire piece on the website for you guys to check out. I wanted to thank Mark, as usual, for having us online. Peter for coming and giving his 2 cents. And sorry for the shoddy camera work, but I thought we captured the spirit of that rehearsal, and hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We were practically giddy, and and thank you very much.
Tonight.